All right, the title of my presentation is No Geek, No Problem. And the reason for that is because if you use ExpressionEngine to build a website, you don't really need to be a geek to start or try or to get really good at it. But it kind of turns you into one, I have to warn you. I've been using ExpressionEngine for 2.5 years. I've had a lot of experience with content management systems, including, the popular ones, WordPress, Drupal, and even Manila. And I've never been able to stick to them for various reasons, never been able to build up a true skill set, never really had that confident experience in development with those until I kind of started to tackle ExpressionEngine, and I didn't receive any formal training. My boss kind of just threw it at me and said, go get them. And so as much fun as that was, I'm here now expounding the virtues of ExpressionEngine. So here we go. So I'm Caroline. Ooh, that's black and white. I'm an artist. I don't paint in black and white. I paint in color. I work in ExpressionEngine exclusively. I got to web development initially by wanting to be an artist and by thinking that, well, I really should build myself a website if I'm going to promote myself, because at least when I'm sleeping, it's available for people to look at. And that was in 2003. And a few years passed, and I founded my own company last month. It's called Petroglyph Created, and we're on 4th Street. All right, ExpressionEngine. There hasn't been a single website that I haven't been able to do in ExpressionEngine. This seems kind of like a tall order to fill. There was one, and it was an app site. It was a first of its kind. I want this site to match people up in certain ways, like interns to jobs. It wasn't really, it had to be its own thing, and for that there's CodeIgniter, also built by Ellis Lab. Again, I've been able to build all kinds of, privacy, guarding websites, expansive websites, client-managed websites, everything I've been able to do in ExpressionEngine, and I can go into a client meeting confident that no matter what they come up with, I can say, yes, we can build that. One other great thing about ExpressionEngine, like me, there's a ton of people like me who are devoted to ExpressionEngine. We earn our living by developing in ExpressionEngine with the confidence that it imbues in us, and also we earn a living by developing add-ons for things that ExpressionEngine doesn't natively do. And again, all of this kind of makes us come back for more, because no matter what, it's a positive experience. No matter what, we can build and finish that website. And no matter what, we can take that knowledge to the next website. There's nothing about the next website that's going to change. Like, there's not going to be a weird security update where suddenly you can't do this, you can't do that. It's going to be the same. It's going to be the same experience, and we're going to learn more and more each time. One of ExpressionEngine's main strengths is that it's a commercial product and it's maintained like one. It was developed, like Emily explained, by Ellis Lab in 2004. And this year it got together with CodeIgniter, which is the development framework also managed by Ellis Lab, which is a free source code. And it adapted its file structure and a few other key things to make ExpressionEngine 2.0. So ExpressionEngine 2.0 is an open PHP MySQL platform. It has extraordinary documentation and support. It has an intuitive tagging system that'll really allow beginners, like I was, to get in there and start doing a little bit of dynamics here, a little bit of dynamics there, and then you want to do a little more dynamics, and then you post the forum. Yes, you can do that, and again and again and again. The only thing about this, however, is that it ain't free. A lot of developers really want that free content management system because, why should we have to pay for, what we're using and to make it better and all this other stuff? ExpressionEngine does have a barrier to entry, and for the developer, for the freelancer, it's about $100. For your client, it's going to be $300, unless they're a nonprofit, and then I think it's like $150. The thing about this barrier to entry is that it keeps the CMS source code out of the hands of unsavory people or robots, like the ones that would hack it, the ones that would create viruses to close your site. You will never, well, I use that loosely, see a critical security update that you have to download now for ExpressionEngine. That doesn't happen. I've never seen it. If you do run into issues, if you think someone's hacked your site, or even if you've got a question, they are there to answer. It's their job. They're paid to do it, and they're there all the time. And because people have paid for this, they do demand answers to their questions, and I can guarantee you any question that you have to ask about ExpressionEngine has been asked before, and it is also Googleable and searchable in their forums. Some developers in the ExpressionEngine community have helped so many people with so many shortcut add-ons that they might even have a cult following and are known by their first and last names to a wide community of people, everybody who uses this essentially. So in short, you're really avoiding a lot of development headaches if you switch to ExpressionEngine. You don't have a lot of what I mentioned earlier, a lot of the stuff that undercuts your development efforts. You're not going to spend extra hours of your clients or your own time fixing things that should already be fixed. You can kind of implement a little bit of ExpressionEngine, or you can really build something out that no one else can recognize but yourself. It's entirely up to you. Features are easy to use and scalable, as I kind of just mentioned. And then the community support, even if the paid people aren't there, there's still people on those forums at 2 or 3 in the morning, so it doesn't really matter what time you're going. You will get emails back. You will get responses, whether they are from knowledgeable developers or the people who are paid to be there. So a quick tour of the control panel. As soon as you install ExpressionEngine, you get to see this. And normally, we have a variety of pink links, but this is actually pretty accurate. You can create, modify, or view some of your statistics. This is just the front page, but the template group is in the design and the entries and the content. If you're not on this page, you can simply go up to content, scroll down, get to where you need to be to edit or create, just like these menus say you can. So you have HTML and CSS. This is a normal workflow for a lot of web companies I've been around. You start with your design, and then you make production. You make these HTML and CSS files and these images, and they come in this nifty folder. But and then it's up to you as a developer to make it all work. And this is great when you have ExpressionEngine, because you can simply drop your templates into it, and you've got a website. You don't have to worry about having to add modules that add navigational structures, that insert PHP or HTML. None of that happens with ExpressionEngine. You tell it where to add stuff, and it'll add exactly what you say to add every time. So what you do is, in your design menu, you go to Templates, Edit, and create a group. That is creating a template group. And you drop your templates in, and you have a website. They will be at your domain.com/template group name/template. So if you make a home template, you can mark that as your index. You won't get that funny little structure at the end. But everything else will be, if you name your template group sites, for example, it'll be at sites/about, sites/views, sites/whatever. And then all the internal path references will also use this template group template name. So you can create your links to each part of your site based on this little guy right here, and it'll render out using all the variables in your system that you need, your domain being included. If you've got any subfolders where your site is back a little bit further, it'll include those automatically. And then you can reuse templates on multiple pages. That include repetitive code by using an embed, which is like if, for instance, you needed to include your header on multiple pages. Many of us do. You simply make an includes group, and you include your header, and you've got the same header template on every single page. So in order to publish actual content to ExpressionEngine, you're going to use something called a channel. It's the mainstay of ExpressionEngine. It's what we all use it for. In order to create a channel, you need to create fields for the channel. Like what goes in there? Is it a body of text? Is it like an image? Are we making a gallery or a caption field or anything like this? Those are all specified by you from the get-go. So if we want to create an image gallery, we're going to go into custom fields, and we're going to create a file field. We're going to create a caption, and then every time we go to publish to this image gallery, it's going to store these things, and we'll be able to publish them dynamically. So then you create as many channels as you need for all the content that you want, and then off you go. So tags use curly braces. They are extremely important. That's how we add any dynamic content to our templates. This is essentially an example of what happens when you insert ExpressionEngine into an HTML template. The first thing you do is you add a template or a tag called, well, for this example, channel entries. Channel being where we publish content. We're telling it to pull the news channel. We're going to limit it to 3 entries, and we're pulling a category number of 6, which is an arbitrary number. It basically means we're limiting the entries that we're pulling to the category that we want, whether it be personal or blogging or whatever. And then this is, a hypothetical H1 tag, and then you just insert title there. Title comes with every single channel. It's a highly useful field. You can even use it for captions. You can use it for whatever. You can use it just for, hey, look at me, I'm the one you want to edit. You don't have to put it in a template. And then this is going to be your custom tag that you create in our custom fields. And again, here's our friendly path variable that'll send us to the detail page of this entry. And then we close using pretty much a mirror example of our tag, except with a close tag. So a little bit more detail on tags. We just looked at this. We saw channel entries, but basically for you PHP people, it's a reference to the function bar in the class foo. But what it does in layman's terms is it just says, hey, EE, do this. And it goes, okay, how? And within the open and closing tags, we just gave it the parameters of title and custom field. It'll just pull that content and put it right where those tags are. So anything that doesn't really have an EXP in front of it is going to be among the next things I'm going to say. One of them is a variable, just a variable. You can create a lot of these by yourself, depending on your client's needs. If they have like an address or a phone number, these are my favorite things to create for them, because all you really have to do is, address or phone number, and any value stored for that is going to pop up right there within your HTML. There are also some built-in variables for ExpressionEngine that I'll get into in just a moment. The ever-popular if statement. This is where it really gets good. So if we have a variable called this idea and it's equal to understandable, well, we're going to do something. And if this idea is something else, we're going to do something else. And if else, we'll forget it or do something else. But we always have to close with the end slash at the bottom to let expression know that we're done. The nice thing about this is constantly we're going to see this if right here. So we're ExpressionEngine, and you are always going to know what that pertains to. Here's some more fun ones. Segment 1 and segment 2. These are dynamic variables. They come directly from your URLs. So if you have your site.com/about/me, segment 1 is about, and segment 2 is me. So we just discussed how template group/template becomes your, basically your segment 1 and segment 2 most of the time. Well, if segment 1 is about, well then you're gonna pull a certain weblog. If it's something else, you're gonna pull something else in your template. You can reuse templates to pull based on these segments at any time. Additionally, there are some built-in variables like logged in and logged out. These are Booleans. You can use these at all times to display private stuff. And then you can, of course, then use member variables, like if member group is 5, 7, 1, display something within the logged in. And then you can also format a lot of these too. This is the current time, and it formats to 2010 right now, because it's formatting just the year. But these use actual PHP parameters in order to be able to display the time exactly as you want. And these are all extraordinarily well documented. They pull up all on one page, and you can usually find what you need pretty quickly. And then this interesting embed, which we talked about for the header. Template group/template, and then you can actually pass it variables. You can pass it one of these segment 1s. You can pass it different things if you're logged in or logged out or whatever. It could be a number, it can be a string, doesn't matter. But as soon as you get into this template, you're going to develop this template separately than the one embedding it. And how you access that variable is just this way. So channel is the original backbone of ExpressionEngine. It was built as a blogging engine. These things used to be called weblogs, not channels. And they're modified, they've been modified over the years and over need to address all structurally repetitive content. Like if you've got, a blog and you have, you always have a link to somewhere else, you can put these in the channels and they publish them as such. It saves peripheral information such as your user ID. If you got many users, this can be really handy. Whether it's got status groups attached, it's got ping addresses attached, it's got all kinds of things attached for perhaps if you ever need them. There's always situations where you'll need one or the other. You can affect the output of it by using parameters, as I just showed you, and then by including some custom fields or all custom fields. You certainly don't need all of your custom fields all the time. And then publish now, edit later, the content management sing-song with the same skills needed to edit any kind of word processing document. So in order to start out with ExpressionEngine, what you need to do is you need to create a channel for every single piece of your edited content, for every kind of repetitive section of your editable content. You need to create one template for every piece of non-editable code, like your header, your footer. You don't want to create a template with your header twice because you want to embed save yourself the work and embed it once. And then you want to use your FTP. You can use your FTP to host and edit CSS, your JavaScript, and your templates created in ExpressionEngine. So, template group / template isn't always what we want. Sometimes we want to modify these guys. But ExpressionEngine doesn't assume anything about your content or your templates. It doesn't even assume you have a navigational structure. This is entirely up to you to create. It's all based on your templates. So what you're going to do is you're going to install something called the Pages module that comes with every installation of ExpressionEngine, and then you can actually override that template group / template at the content level to give it a new URL. So ExpressionEngine actually figured out that when we want to override that template group / template structure, it's usually based on a certain content that's in there. Like you want to call it your artist statement if you're me, or your bio if you're an artist or a programmer. And it's based on the content, not the actual template you're using. So at the content level, you're going to go and install Pages. And when you go in to edit that content or to publish it, you're going to go over to that Pages tab, and you're just going to write whatever you want to be there. And then you're going to assign it the template you want, no matter what path it's at. And then hit OK, and you're right around there. So this brings up navigation. There's 3 good ways to attack navigation. One of them is to use an include file where it's all published in one place. And you can do this statically. Another way is to loop through the channel entries where you have your, like, a certain category of stuff or pages. You can loop them. You can loop them to show only pages if you're creating a small site, or perhaps you want to loop through a series of blogs. And then if you need a visual editor of some kind for more demanding clients, you're going to install something called Structure, which comes as an add-on outside of ExpressionEngine. So to give you a quick tour of what's included in ExpressionEngine besides channel, but of course our friend channel is right here, and you can uninstall it if you want to. You can blacklist or whitelist IPs to make sure they don't hit your content and create all kinds of spam. Your Blogger API will allow you to publish through publishing software that interfaces with Blogger. You can make it interface with this as well. We've got a very robust comment system. The email system's interesting. You can send yourself emails like, users will come, like comment forms and contact forms. Those can all be done with email. Emoticon, I'm pretty sure you guys all know about. Mailing lists, it can collect mailing list addresses for you. If you need to get into that database and Channel really isn't doing it for you, this query module is awesome. You can give it a MySQL query. You need to assign each of the things you're pulling out to a variable name, but as soon as you do, all those variable names, if you include them into your brackets, they become just like ExpressionEngine variables. These are completely custom queries. And you can create pretty robust searches. You can interface with PayPal using Simple Commerce. I haven't really explored statistics too much, but if you have any questions about those at the end, feel free to come and talk to me. So we mentioned before that we can add a file or text. Coming in out of the box, these are the field types that ExpressionEngine includes. And these are all in your control panel. You can check something off as, I don't know, you name it. Is this a shoe? Is this a shirt? Is this a hat? You can make all of these as field type. You can make that as one field type and then interface it in your template. If this is a hat, do this. If this is a coat, do this. If this is a shoe, do this. Date. If you need a date, I'm not free. No, I'm just the date is for, normally in ExpressionEngine 1, they would ask us to just, use the publishing date. So if you had an event on, say, September the 1st at 6:30, you would actually make your entry date. You can go in there and kind of mess with that, the published date of the entry. But it's a little bit neater sometimes, especially for demanding clients, to create a date field that just shows up with the other fields. And that way, this little pretty chooser comes up and you can pick at it and, no, I want to adjust the time, no, I want to adjust the date. And it's very easy for them, and it's very easy for you to style. File is, if you want to upload a file, this can be rendered as just the extension, just the path, just the file name, or any of the above. It's very versatile, it's awesome. You can also create multiple places on your server for files to be uploaded. So if you want to keep everything separate, between your media and perhaps your news files, maybe your artwork, you can do all that. And it's very easy. Multi-select, I think most of us know, it's that thing where it kind of pulls, there's like this window. You just enter all of your options and it creates a multi-select for you to select stuff. Same with radio buttons. Relationship is kind of what Emily hinted at earlier. It's where if you set up the file, or if you set up the channel and you want it to relate to, you want to, for some reason, like if you're setting up a weblog of stuff for sale, but it also relates to your artwork, for example, you can create a relationship field in that for sale and pick the actual artwork that it's selling. Amazing, isn't it? Select drop-down is just that thing where you pull and let go and it chooses something. Text input and text area, I think we've got those covered. And this is a neat little feature, especially if you're new to ExpressionEngine. Accessories are brand new in ExpressionEngine 2, and they're not going to overload your control panel with, here, learn this, here, learn that. But you can install as many of them as you want, and they're all right here. And you can always add some as well. They have many more than this out there on the interwebs. So I've mentioned a few of what ExpressionEngine can do, but a few things of what ExpressionEngine can do, but there's over 230 add-ons as of 2 days ago on devotee.com. They're not all free, but they're all supported by the folks who make them. Everybody who makes these has been developing an ExpressionEngine, usually only ExpressionEngine, for a long enough time that they've identified something ExpressionEngine can't do, something another developer hasn't yet done, and they've gone ahead and done it. So, member functions like allowing users to register on the front side of your site instead of you going in and registering people, creating relationships between people. It's just a quick tag to make forms, favorites. Facebook, SoulSpace makes all of these. They're very prolific developers. Some of these are free, some of them are not. A guy named Levi Graham actually has made it much easier to add meta tags, and he also created his standalone polls widget and social media bookmarks. And then you can also add e-commerce to this, and there's a couple of good solutions, namely CartThrob, which is standalone, and FoxE, which is a hosted cart service. And to top it all off, they all act like everything else I just told you about. You can pass them parameters. They interact with the text between them if you have like a tag pair. And that's really all you need to know about those. So once you've gotten your channel set up and you're ready to try something that, or you need to do something for a client that isn't included on the build out, you already know that you can. And that's about all, folks. My name's Caroline, and I can take your questions now.
Okay, so the most expensive that ExpressionEngine is for an install is $300. How much are the add-ons usually?
They're usually free, but they can go up to $99.99, with an exception being the cart, the robust shopping cart, which, do you know how much that is, Cartthrob?
$199.95?
Yeah.
Well, just because the thing that's always interesting to me is that at that low of a price, each one of my hours, each one of a web designer's hours, a web programmer's hours are between 75 to 250 an hour.
Right.
That's really not bad, and I think it's really quite reasonable at $300. I'm surprised that it's even $300.
That's exactly what I think. It's basically only a barrier to entry, to me. It just keeps it out of the hands of people who would use it for bad, who aren't going to pay for it. And then, you know, it cuts down on your hours, and ultimately it cuts down on what the client pays and makes them a lot happier.
What's also great is it comes with support for that price.
Yeah.
I think for the same amount of support with WordPress, it runs around $1,500, I think.
I think it's 15,000.
15,000? Okay.
Wait, what's 15,000?
WordPress support. No
WordPress support is
You
15
want
grand
actual
for
support?
You want support from... That was like a rewrite WordPress. It's really ridiculous for WordPress.
Do I smell a mutiny in here?
I did have a second question, and the second question is, can you, I mean, and this is a really hard question, I'm sure, to answer, but you know, you have a content management system versus an application where you put in information and something comes out or something like that. And so what kind of applications are just maybe above, just above, you know, ExpressionEngine in that sense?
The way I would answer that question would be that they are things that are basically the first of their kind, that aren't high demand features. So nobody's going to necessarily demand, let me think of something. Like art collaging of all of the masters. Like there's not going to be an art collage of all the masters plugin released anytime soon. So, but somebody could put that together. It would be a great app, but it's not a website. You know, it's very much a niche thing.
So blogging, a little bit of e-commerce, it sounds like. Those are all done.
High repetition of everything, highly customizable layouts, and whatever else you can find up there. I've never had to say no to a feature. Yes?
Could you talk a little bit about the tools that ExpressionEngine has for relating like content between channels and stuff like that? Like you've got sidebars and things like that that need to relate to the content on the page. Are there tools for building that sort of dynamic relationships and sort of thing?
Essentially, it's just that, well, according to what I've had to use, it's just that relationship field, and that's actually a tag, I think it's a tag pair. Do you want to talk about this at all?
Well, there's the built-in tag relationship, the ability to relate to different things within ExpressionEngine, but Brendan and Kelly developed Playa, which is all about relationships, like, hey, Playa.
The video didn't catch that. It's, hey, playa.
That's a plugin that will further advance the way to, like, let's say you have a bunch of products, and you also have case studies, and you have client surveys, or client testimonials and white papers. And different white papers relate to different products, but they may relate to the same products. So it allows you to create those relationships on a much deeper level than what's already built in.
Is that a free plugin?
It is not a free plugin, but Brendan offers full support for Playa.
I think it's like, I want to say either $30 or $45.
Yeah, it's for what you get and what Daniel was alluding to, the time you save in development by installing a plugin, it's a win-win.
Thanks.
Sure. And it's a highly profitable model for the developer, too, because with so many buys of the plugin, they end up, I mean, Brandon Kelly has a full support staff just from his pre-existing development. Yeah.
So if you have a web page, is there any reference to EE, meaning built by EE or something like that, or?
No, you can put it in if you want. A lot of people do.
Since you
But-
pay for it, why should you advertise it?
Yeah.
Do you get the source code for that? Or?
Once you enter your license number, and basically ExpressionEngine 2.1 is a free download for 30 days. And then it kind of locks up and says, dee-dee-dee, you can't do this. But after that point, you put that license number in, and it unlocks everything. So it's not open source, it's open framework. And then at the point where your license number is in there, you can see everything and do anything with that source code.
So if you decided to, let's say, start with that source code and then run with it and build something completely different, you never have to go back to the well, or you're no longer dependent. I mean, you could sever the ties with the original
You
licensee.
probably want to go with CodeIgniter if you want to like create something new, rather than ExpressionEngine as the source.
Yeah, you can't like fork expression.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they say I wouldn't recommend it,
Right.
but I mean, I'm not stopping
But
you
I'm saying,
if you
let's
want.
say the organization, let's say, goes away, or, let's say 5 years ago, declares bankruptcy.
That would be really interesting if that happened. I don't anticipate it happening anytime soon because there's more than a few hundred people who would gladly take over.
And I mean, to answer your question, yes, you can get the source code. It is a PHP site that you install, so you could see all the PHP that you have installed on your site to get it done. Sorting through it is not fun. I tried it. I mean, it is possible for you to reverse engineer it very easily, but it's kind of a pain. So it would be more cost effective to buy the license than to reverse engineer for ExpressionEngine.
You'd make a lot more friends that way too.
Kind of like this.
Yeah, she wasn't kidding that there are like devoted community people. If you did something like that, violated some sort of ExpressionEngine license, I guarantee you'd have people after you online.
And they're really smart people.
I think that's
What I'm saying is
where
that if you were to, let's say, build a big enterprise on top of this, and let's say something happens to ExpressionEngine, are you now dependent on?
Not at all. It's freestanding. It won't go away.
Yeah,
You've got what you've got forever.
Okay, yeah.
There are no hooks back to a different server. Everything is on your server. So if if Ellis Labs blew up tomorrow,
We'd all have ExpressionEngine 2.1 for the rest of our lives.
But that being said, CodeIgniter, if you want to build something on, CodeIgniter is an excellent PHP
that's where you can
platform.
start.
And I'm probably going to talk a lot about it next month. So.
I'll be migrating Twitterscapes to CodeIgniter shortly.
Caroline, why don't you just mention that since you mentioned it?
Oh, well, we've got a couple of free Twitterscapes here for the drawing. If anybody's interested in free art, they are 200-year archival prints, and they're gorgeous.
And what is Twitterscapes?
Twitterscapes is my data-driven art form that I've taken using the Twitter public data feed and mapped it out using the user's colors onto an image, and they look like this. Some of the color values are mapped to consonants, some are mapped to vowels, some to numbers, and some to other characters. And then the only one that's consistently represented is these red @ symbols, which denote that it's talking to somebody. And up until yesterday, I was producing a new one every 10 minutes using, an automated copy of ExpressionEngine using cron. And then Bluehost shut me down.
Well,
So I will.
switch to OAuth. That's all. You just have to change your authentication to OAuth.
What? You're going to have to catch me after for that one. Any other questions? Yeah, Terry.
Did you have the opportunity to use other CMS systems like Drupal, Flow, and Joomla? Can you comment on differences, weaknesses?
Yes. Mainly that my experience with Drupal entailed every time I wanted to go in and develop it, I instead had to install a major security update. Like, I'm talking every 1 or 2, maybe 3 days. And this is an extraordinary example of an easy one to template. You have your HTML and CSS files, and you are guaranteed that nothing is going to get in the way of your designs. So anything you want to show up in there can be tagged right out of ExpressionEngine, and it will show up. You don't have to go into nasty PHP template files, navigate your way through some weird PHP, some of which you don't really know if you need, some you really need, but then you cut it out and crap, what the heck did I do? There's not going to be any of that with this. Of course, you can turn PHP on in ExpressionEngine if you really want to. So that's available as well, but you're not, by default, negotiating through it. You're just using these friendly curly brace tags. Does that answer your question?
I just wanted to know your experience.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, sorry.
No, completely different question, so go ahead.
Well, I mean, kind kind of in connection with that, the problem is that every time I've used a content management system, and with WordPress, all I want to do is just blog. Every time I've used a content management system, Drupal, Joomla, or whatever, there was always just this one step, this one little part of it, this one little...
I should back up to slide 5 because this said no more development headaches.
Yeah, okay.
Someone will be paid to answer that question. If you get to that point with ExpressionEngine, I just cannot solve this.
Yeah.
Someone will be paid to answer it and to solve it and wait until it's solved to stop answering your requests. That's all I can say. I don't know exactly what, but...
Well, it was just always, there was this, we had talked about almost a year ago, how it's like, there is no CMS I like at all. And then I heard about it from another friend of mine, and then I heard about it from you, and it was like, I am just a big fan. I was like, I thought I would be a big fan of Drupal and Joomla, and then I just hated it.
I'm with you 100%. I crank sites out in this, and I've never ever cranked sites out in anything other than WordPress, but it's kind of limited is all. I mean, it's a great platform, but it's just kind of limited. And also, you've got a template in PHP, and this you don't.
Yeah.
Mark.
Yeah, if I don't want to run my own server or support that for my clients, who would you recommend for hosting?
LS Lab runs their own hosting company called Engine Hosting.
It's actually a separate company.
yeah.
Oh, well, then it's a separate company, but it's built for this content management system in CodeIgniter. The guys there know these first and foremost, and if something's going wrong with your hosting, like this, just a couple weeks ago, I was trying to develop an ExpressionEngine, and something was on this weird server. I think it was a Drupal server. One of the sites we were working on actually skipped some of the rendering of the JavaScript. So it was rendering as an error, and I couldn't publish because this thing required JavaScript to publish. And yeah, you will need JavaScript turned on, and jQuery would be better, and that's pre-installed if you want to activate it to publish and to use some of the features in the control panel. That goes without saying for most things these days. But it actually created this error, and we have a technical lead who is really good at making output. And basically, the server was skipping over this one line, and we couldn't do anything about it. There was nothing we could do. We had to hack through ExpressionEngine and get it fixed, which we did. But someone like Engine Hosting would go in there, look at it, diagnose the problem, and fix it.
So, but that being said, I know that GoDaddy has all the technical requirements for an ExpressionEngine. Just if you want to support from it, Engine Hosting would be better. If you're looking for a fully supported thing, GoDaddy,
Anything with
Dreamhost, all those guys, anybody that has a current version of PHP, current version of MySQL, will be able to throw it on there for you.
I think you need versions of 5 for 2.0. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, my issue, I run Joomla on GoDaddy, and I don't know if it's just me or the way their system's set up, but typically I need at least a 30-minute turnaround to see any changes I made take effect, module loads and so forth. And you can't develop like that.
Yeah, I'm a loyal Engine Hosting customer, so take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt. I would spend 3 times what I spend with them for their level of service and expertise with ExpressionEngine sites. Maybe more. The time that they save, they answer questions instantly. I know the people that are answering questions. I know how smart they are. I know how dedicated they are to their jobs, to their company, and to ExpressionEngine. It's just a phenomenal, phenomenal company. Great, great service.
One more thing you may wish to consider about Engine Hosting is that their control panel is not extraordinarily built out. If you're going to point a domain to your Engine Hosting account, you're going to have to ask them to configure that domain to work on the website you're building. So you'll have to submit a quick support ticket. Hi, I'm so-and-so. I'm trying to link domain XYZ to my account, to this directory, and then, 30 minutes later, 15 minutes later. But I know in some other...
Like how any request is. Like yesterday when I had to set up a database for Mojo Motor, I couldn't set it up in my own SQL. I didn't have the privileges, so I contacted them. They kind of handle a lot of that stuff for you with emails, like Caroline said, because, and it's not even 30, it's probably 5 minutes from which you send your email before you get it.
It just depends on when you catch them.
But that's sort of how they do business. It's a very different model than any other hosting provider you're going to find out there. They're going to talk to you. They expect you to talk to them. there isn't some complicated thing where you've got to go to the domain manager like GoDaddy has. 'Cause
Right.
I've done that and spent an hour trying to find where I need to go to manage something.
Click option 1 through 9. What kind of problem is this? Who cares? Any other questions?
Do you have an example of a very large public site running ExpressionEngine?
Unfortunately, not a public one. Actually, yes, I do. Let me get to it. All right, so if we get the browser up, and if I can, I need to turn mirror up. Oh, lovely. I'm not connected. I'm afraid not, as I have no connection.
What was the question?
A large public site.
Go to showee.com, SHOW-EE.com. It's an Ellis Labs sponsored showcase site of ExpressionEngine sites from small businesses to the Obama campaign ran on it, if I remember correctly.
I'm afraid I don't know. There's at least 1 or 2 White House sites on it. They're not all on it, but
Showee.
Can you do mobile sites, like m.dot, your site?
absolutely, you can develop multiple subdomains, and you can create templates and layouts that are mobile friendly. And as long as they use JavaScript, you're good to go. It can sniff out user agents. So depending on if you're on a desktop browser or a mobile browser, it can determine that. And then you can use if statements. If this is mobile, bring this page up. If it's not, then bring this one up.
You might be able to handle that with media queries as well.
Second question, what's the learning curve?
Getting into these curly braces can really make you bite your teeth. But it's actually a couple weeks and you're good. Because once you have the curly brace thing, you're going to have syntax errors you did not expect. Just saying. I mean, it happens with every learning curve. If you're really trying to get the site working and you ask a lot of questions, chances are half the questions you're going to discover why it doesn't work while you're typing it out. But that's just a given with most things. At least you have the availability of a form to type them out. Or you can Google your question because chances are someone's asked it before. But it's really just getting, it was weird to start typing curly braces, and that's really what I remember about the learning curve. But it doesn't change a whole lot. So I'm actually now learning ExpressionEngine 2, and I'm building a pretty big site in it. So it's, that is also, but if you're going in as ExpressionEngine 2, everything's going to stay consistent. So you just need to learn it and learn it once.
What's what was that, the showcase?
Showee.
SHOW-EE.com.